again, guys. We are back testing out some more anti-inflammatory backpacking recipes. If you've seen any of the previous videos where we're testing out these recipes, you know that I'm a registered dietitian and that I reached out to the food and nutrition department at my alma mater to see if their students might be interested in maybe learning a little bit more about thru hiking and creating a meal plan for someone who is going on a thru hike. I asked for maybe like a 2 to 5 day meal plan, and they came back with a 3-week meal plan with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. I thought instead of just testing them out on my own, I'd bring you guys along to see how these recipes hold up. Today, we're testing out 5 more lunch recipes. We're doing a quinoa and chickpea power bowl, an egg and veggie bowl, a Mediterranean lentil salad, a lentil and veggie pouch, and a salmon and rice bowl with greens. We're starting with our quinoa and chickpea power bowl. I have my quinoa and chickpeas right here in this bowl already. Next is the spinach. And as we've talked about before, some of the ingredients, like this one calls for freeze-dried spinach. I'm not freeze-drying the spinach first to then freeze-dry it again, so we're just using fresh spinach. Where's I had a half cup measuring cup somewhere. Oh, it's right here. I guess actually we're starting with the half cup of diced bell peppers. Now it doesn't say to cook them. I guess we're putting them in fresh. I did chop these up before. I put them through one of those like slap choppers to get them nice and small so that they rehydrate easier. That was last week, so I decided to freeze them. They are fresh, they're just frozen, so I don't know if that will make a difference since we're not cooking them. And then a half a cup of spinach. All right. I never really know how to measure spinach this way. Do you just put it in lightly, like if you're measuring sugar? Is it just dumped in like granulated white sugar, or do you pack it in like brown sugar? I'm always a fan of more is better, which actually doesn't work out well for me a lot of the time, but I still do it. But we're gonna just keep going with the more is better theory here. I'm gonna pack that in. Got half a cup of spinach in there. You know, once we put the hot water in here to rehydrate it, all that spinach is gonna wilt down anyway. We're not drizzling this with olive oil now, because as we have discussed before, fat oils do not hold up well with freeze-dried food. They go rancid very quickly compared to the other ingredients. So what we're going to do is take a little packet and, there we go. It'll look like this. So this one I already have marked off for the extra virgin olive oil for the turkey and sweet potato bowl. And I'll just put some olive oil in here, the tablespoon of olive oil, and then seal it off there, and we'll pack that with us. Now we need to sprinkle in some ginger and turmeric. It says a teaspoon blend. It is optional. We are going to take the option. I do have a teaspoon somewhere, but we're not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna put just some in there. I think, and I'm very bad at knowing how much spice to put in, so I really should be measuring, but you know, we're being realistic in here. This is how I'd actually do it. So I think when using herbs and spices in recipes, you just go with what you like. If you like more than what they're calling for, or you don't like something, you don't put it in. It's kind of like vanilla. When a recipe calls for vanilla, you put in like double or triple, or garlic. You put in way more garlic than what it actually calls for. Now we are to mash avocado and stir in chia seeds and cranberries. I don't know if that's supposed to get mixed with this and how the mashed avocado goes in there, but I think I'm just going to, instead of mashing it, I think it'll turn out better if we just cut it and put if we just put a half an avocado sliced or diced into smaller pieces. So I think that's gonna turn out better. I think the mashed half an avocado just, I don't know about that. Let's put in our cranberries. And again, if you've watched the last videos, you know I don't have cranberries at my house, and I thought, why buy them when I have currants? So we're just gonna use currants. Kind of the same concept. And chia seeds, tablespoon. not gonna have to worry about fiber when we're using these recipes at all. I haven't done the calculations of this one yet to see how much fiber is in here, but I guarantee it's probably at least 30 to 50% of what your daily need is. Adding a little bit of salt and pepper. I know it doesn't say to, but I think it'll just help a little bit. So some pepper, salt. All right. I added the avocado in here sliced up. Actually, I can't even see it in there, but that's what it looks like. Give it a little bite. I'm predicting that this will be better warm with the spinach kind of cooked down a little bit, but maybe not. I'm gonna add just a little bit more salt to that, and maybe even some Italian seasoning. But overall, this is pretty good. It's going on the tray. We have our egg and veggie bowl. Before I show you what's in this bowl, have we talked about my sweater yet? I thrifted this sweater, I don't know how long ago, but it's one of my favorites. It's 100% cotton, and it's got carrots all over it. It's the perfect sweater. It waited at the thrift store for me to find it. I adore it. I hope you do too. For our egg and veggie bowl, I have the sweet potatoes, the spinach, and the quinoa in there already. We have scrambled 2 eggs, so those are going in. Now we are to mix this. That all mixed up together, and I did pack the spinach in. Same thing as last time with the olive oil. We're not drizzling it in now. We're gonna put it in one of those packets, but we are going to do the hemp seeds and the everything bagel seasoning. 1 tablespoon. Everything bagel, and I know it says a tablespoon, but we're gonna get a nice heaping tablespoon. It's probably like 5 teaspoons there. And then we need 1/4 of an avocado. I realize in the last recipe, I didn't say it out loud, but for those of you who haven't watched any of the previous episodes, why am I using the tablespoon? I'll just use this one. We added black pepper and salt to the last recipe, but it is very important if you're using turmeric and you want to get the anti-inflammatory properties out of the curcumin in it, that you pair it with black pepper so that your body is able to absorb it properly. Your body just doesn't absorb it very well on its own. Okay. All right, now we're mixed up. Now that I added this in here, it has occurred to me, diced sweet potatoes, we should have cooked, it doesn't say to cook them, but we definitely should have cooked these. We've already put the sweet potato raw in there, and we're going to be adding boiling water to it, so it'll probably cook a little bit. Now, sweet potatoes aren't toxic if you eat them raw. Like, they're not gonna kill you or poison you, but again, the nutrients aren't as bioavailable if you're eating them raw. And for some people, it can cause gastric distress. You're gonna have a tummy ache. Will I have a tummy ache? Time will tell, because I'm not going to pick this apart, and I don't want to waste the ingredients and make another round of this, so we're gonna end up eating it just like it is. Let's try it. I put way too much seasoning in that. That is terrible. Oh, I think I got like a whole thing of seasoning. Oh, that was not the recipe's fault. That was my fault for eating that and using the same spoon I had just scooped all of this seasoning in and then mixed everything with, because I got just a giant chunk of everything bagel seasoning with all of the salt in it. Let's try that again. Better, but still way over seasoned. Oh, that's not great. What we're gonna do to fix this is make it a double recipe. So I'm just gonna add all of the ingredients except the everything bagel seasoning. All right, take 3. I have doubled the recipe with everything except for the seasoning. Much better. Still a little saltier than what I expected, but maybe my everything bagel seasoning just had a lot of salt. I noticed I saw a lot of salt grains when I scooped that up. So, I mean, when I'm out there, I'm sure I'm not gonna be mad that my stuff is kind of salty. That recipe says a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. I put like 5 times the amount of everything seasoning that I was supposed to. Remember earlier when I was saying I never season things properly? I either put way too much or way too little. There's no defending that. We're now moving on from the rice, the quinoa, and the oats. We haven't moved on from quinoa, but we're introducing a new grain, lentils. Now, it doesn't say which type to use. Now, you may know already, or maybe you don't, there are several different kinds of lentils. So there's green lentils and red lentils, and green might be French, or maybe French, there's like a specific type of green that are French, I don't know. All I know is that the reds and oranges and yellows, when you cook them, they kind of turn into mush. So if you're doing a lentil salad, you want the green type of lentils, at least as far as I'm aware. If you know something different and you're better at lentils than I am, let us know. Tell me a little bit more, but that's as far as I'm aware. So I have the quinoa and the lentils here. Both are excellent sources of protein for a plant, and also great sources of fiber. It calls for a 1/2 cup of cherry tomatoes. Now, it doesn't say to chop them or cook them or anything like that. I decided to cut them in half because if you try to freeze dry something like this with the skin, like if you've ever tried to freeze dry a grape or a blueberry or a cherry tomato, anything like that, without piercing the skin holds the liquid in there. You have to be able to pierce that in order for them to be freeze dried, and then also for them to be rehydrated as well. So we have cut them in half. We're supposed to combine the peppers as well, so 1/2 cup of peppers. Got my frozen peppers here. 1/2 cup in. Originally I had planned on just using frozen blueberries, even though it called for dry blueberries. And I assume it probably wants to use like dehydrated, but I went downstairs into my supply of things. I didn't even realize I had freeze-dried blueberries down there. So we're gonna use, what is it, 1/4 cup? I've never had blueberries in a lentil salad before, but I don't know, full of antioxidants, nice and sweet. We'll see how it turns out. It also calls for a tablespoon of flaxseed. With flaxseed, you can eat the whole flaxseed if you want, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt you or anything, but you're not going to get the benefits that you want from eating the flaxseed without grinding it. You need that flax to be kind of broken open a little bit. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon in here. Very shiny. So it went from being little flax seeds like that to ground it down into flax meal. Looks more like that. Now our body will be able to absorb it much better. I'm just gonna dump this whole thing in there. Not pouring the olive oil in here. We're gonna do the olive oil after in the packet. And a 1/2 an avocado. So seasoning for this. When I did the lentils, I did cook the lentils in a vegetable broth, and then I also put a bay leaf in there. I don't actually know what a bay leaf adds to anything. People tell me all the time that a bay leaf is necessary and it adds flavor, and I always put it in, always. I just don't know what it actually does. I'm just assuming it does some kind of a magic. Anytime I have quinoa, I just really want feta in there. Got the little blueberry in there. It's different. Kind of weird, the blueberry, but not bad. Also, when I have like a cold lentil salad and quinoa, that sort of thing, I really want to chop up just like a whole handful of parsley and maybe a little bit of basil and other fresh herbs, maybe some dill, and put it in there. So maybe I'll add just Italian seasoning and maybe a little bit of dill to this. Blueberries and dill, will I like that? Not bad. All right, it's going on the tray. Now we have our lentil and veggie pouch, which also is a fruit pouch because we have blueberries in this one. So I have the green lentils. Again, chose green again because I don't know why. I guess I could have done red, but I just only wanted to make one round of lentils. So I cooked a bigger batch of lentils so I could use it for this. That's why I chose green for this. So we have our rice, our peppers, and I'm gonna throw the blueberries. It also occurred to me, it's asking for dried blueberries. When you dehydrate something, I think we've talked about this maybe a little bit before, the difference in dehydrating versus freeze drying is pretty significant as far as texture goes. With freeze drying a blueberry, you can see, now these ones were frozen, so they are a little bit wrinkly, but for the most part, they retain, can you even see this? They retain their shape and size pretty well. A dried or dehydrated blueberry is going to shrink up quite a bit. So I'm realizing now, maybe I should be adding a little bit more blueberries than what it calls for. I did not prep carrots ahead of time, but I have a church class that I go to on some evenings, and usually in addition to the education and fellowship that we do, we eat a meal together. Although I love to cook, I don't often actually cook for this class because I have so many other things going on all the time. I end up picking something up and bringing it with me, and I chose a veggie tray for that class. Then I checked my email and saw that the weather was terrible, so the class was canceled. Ironically, I didn't prep any carrots, and I've got my carrot sweater on. But anyhow, I have this whole leftover veggie tray. I'm gonna use the carrots out of this. I think it'll just, baby carrots are probably gonna be easier to chop up here, and this way they don't go to waste. I mean, this whole thing isn't gonna go to waste anyway, I'm gonna eat it, but still. So I'm just so curious to know, with this being raw, how that's gonna turn out. I'll let you know on the trail. I think with it being boiling water that's gonna get poured in there, I think it'll certainly soften up a little bit, but it's not gonna have like that nice roasted flavor to it. And then 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds. So we have our little pepitas here, 1 and 2. What kind of spice do we wanna add in here? A little bit of turmeric. Of course, we wanna pair that with some pepper. Oh, I don't know if I said it out loud on the last recipe, but if you wanted to try that recipe out and you thought, hey, I don't think that raw tomatoes are gonna be good for me, or I don't like raw tomatoes, or you wanted to punch the flavor up a little bit, you could do sun-dried tomatoes in there, and I think that would also be delicious. Just Italian seasoning, get some of those herbs in there. The other thing I'm forgetting about the flavors until after I tasted and I shut the recording off is that we're gonna be adding olive oil to this. That will also add a flavor and mouthfeel dynamic to this as well. So I think maybe that is also something that I'm like, this needs a little more of something else. And I think it's probably olive oil. But now that I'm thinking about this, I have a feeling maybe I'll want a little lemon, but I don't know. I don't taste the blueberry a lot, but maybe that'll be different once it's actually, warmed up and in there and melding all the flavors around. I'm gonna leave it as is, but I do think a little bit of, just a little splash of lemon or lime and a little bit of zest would also brighten this up quite a bit too. Last but not least is our salmon and rice bowl with greens. Now, I assume the greens means the broccoli florets. It says just a half a cup of broccoli florets, but I can tell you right now, I know me enough to know I don't want raw broccoli in this. So I am steaming some right now. I could have roasted it, but this just seemed like the quickest, easiest thing is to kind of steam it up right there. It calls for 3 ounces of cooked salmon. I cooked this salmon yesterday. This one is a 3-ounce fillet. I'm not just gonna throw it in there. I think it really needs to be either shredded or chopped up. Shredded would be fine. Flakes, like, some salmon flakes would be okay. But I think I'm just gonna chop it up for ease here. And then it'll be just a little bit quicker and easier. Now that I'm thinking of it, I feel like I probably shouldn't have cooked it to the point that I wanted it to be cooked yesterday. I probably should have undercooked it just a little bit because it's going to get cooked a little bit in the hot water when we go to rehydrate it, but that's okay. If it's a little overcooked, that's probably better than having undercooked. Little tiny pieces, just like that. We're gonna throw in, and I have my rice in the bowl already. Okay. I'm leaving the skins on. There's a lot of good nutrients in that skin. I'm hoping it doesn't make it, with the fat in the skin, I'm hoping it doesn't make it go rancid too quickly or anything, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Broccoli is steamed and going in. Oh yeah, I see the steam coming up out of there. Another ground flaxseed recipe. There we go. Now, the half of the avocado, it says to do later. When we go to rehydrate, we're supposed to mash the half of the avocado up and put it in there. And a few of you have already reached out and let me know that you're here to help with anything. And actually a couple of you have offered to bring me avocados. So maybe this will be a good recipe to have when I run into some of you. It wants a teaspoon of grated ginger. I've got my ginger here. I kind of just peeled the tip of it. I'm gonna just microplane it right in here. I don't know how much a teaspoon is. I'm just gonna grate what I peeled and hope that is the appropriate amount. Actually, I think I'm getting a little bit more than what I peeled, but that's all right. Not that concerned about it. This is probably more than a teaspoon, but you know, we don't learn from our mistakes, so we're gonna just put as much as we want in there. To mar your coconut aminos, I've got some coconut aminos right here, a teaspoon, and I just had it. Oh, there it is. I don't know where my regular teaspoons went, so I've got half a teaspoon. There we go, one. Oh yeah, that's thick. 2. All right, let's get her all mixed up in there. I suppose I shouldn't have undercooked my salmon when I don't really know the quality of the salmon that I purchased. It was just a frozen bag because we're testing, taking a little testing bite. A little broccoli, a little salmon, a little rice. Whoop, lost my, I probably just need, why am I trying this half a teaspoon to take a bite with this? Hold on. Cheers, guys. Pretty good. Going on the tray. Everything has been freeze dried. We have our measurement system set up here so that we know how much water to add this time. We remembered to do that so that we can add an accurate amount of water back into this. I'm gonna start with the quinoa and chickpea power bowl. I might be able to pick this up. Pick it up in little pieces like this. There we go. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Got her all bagged up and we are at 4.7 ounces. Now, I wrote it down here. I'll show you guys. Currently at 4.7 ounces. I wrote everything down on the parchment paper so you can see the sizes. 15 ounces, 21. That was 14, 14.4 and 10.8. So you could see freeze drying takes a significant amount of weight. Taking the water out takes all of that weight out. That's over 10 ounces. 1 cup of water, both in weight and mass, is 8 ounces. So this is going to be 1 1/4 cups because it's 8 plus 2 is 10. That's, I feel like I'm in math class right now. But yeah, we're gonna add 10 ounces or 1 1/4 cups of water. There you have it. Now that, so to go from less than 5 ounces to 15 ounces, we've cut that in 1/3 of weight. So imagine the amount of weight savings that you can have if you have a freeze dryer at home and can freeze dry your food. Again, definitely not something that everybody has access to and can do. And in fact, even if you have a freeze dryer, as we are finding over the years, it doesn't always function properly. So dehydrating might be a better bet for you. Or if you have the extra funds, to purchase freeze-dried meals along the way. Next is our egg and veggie lunch bowl. And this was our heaviest, significantly heaviest by far as of yet, and it was 21 ounces. Actually not sure that it's going to fit in here, but we're gonna give it our best shot. This is also the one I think I mentioned before. We diced our sweet potatoes and put it in there, and then afterward realized we probably should have roasted those. So there's not that many sweet potatoes in here. I'm hoping it doesn't cause a lot of gastric upset, and I'll be putting boiling water in there, so hopefully that also kind of cooks it down a little bit and helps with that issue. It did fit in here. It's a little bit almost to the top, but it did fit. Rehydrating this is going to be interesting. I have a feeling I'm going to have to rehydrate it outside of this bag, because once you pour the water in and it expands a little, it's not going to expand a ton, but if you try to add the significant amount of water that you have to in here, it's going to be a little bit bigger. We are down to 6.2 ounces. So from 21 ounces to 6.2 ounces. That's pretty impressive. I'm making coffee if you can hear that noise, but it has just now occurred to me as I was packing that up and getting the olive oil out, or the olive oil packet stick for it. For you guys, it's only been a few moments. For me, it has been several days, almost a week, since I put these trays into pre-freeze, into the freezer, and to this point now. So I totally forgot that I messed that recipe up and put 5 times the amount of seasoning that we should have in it, and then made a double batch. I'm wondering, in my head, I'm thinking, man, this is a huge serving. Why is this so big? Because it's a double. That's why, obviously. And I had planned on cutting it in half and having 2 servings of it, but I already sealed it up and I'm not wasting a bag on it. So that's a double portion. Again, anybody out on trail while I'm eating that, if you're hungry, I will share with you. We went from 14.4 to 4.1. Again, another over 10 ounces that we lost. These bags that I'm using are not my ideal bags. I just checked too. I ordered bags that are this way, landscape view, instead of whatever this is, the vertical. I ordered the horizontal ones. For the life of me, I can't find them anywhere. After I finish getting everything packed up and sealed and everything, I am going to go searching for those, and I'm hoping I can find them. Next is our lentil veggie pouch. And actually, yeah, you did see. I was gonna say, I want to show you what it looks like close up, but I showed you that earlier. It looks pretty much the same as it did going in. It's 14 ounces. What do you predict? Oops, I just threw lentils on my laptop here. What do you predict that it weighs now that it's freeze-dried? 14.0 to 4.5 ounces. Again, almost 10 ounces, 9.5 ounces there. Fantastic. Last but not least is our salmon bowl. It was 10.8 ounces before we put it through the freeze dryer. What are your predictions for after? If you guessed that it would go from 10.8 ounces to 2.9 ounces, you would be correct. And just like that, we have 5 more gluten-free, anti-inflammatory, delicious lunches for the trail. I hope this inspired you to make some of your own trail meals. Join me next time where we come up with some more colorful and delicious meals for out on the Appalachian Trail. Bye.